the website my.hrw.com. Like saying my homework if there was a random R in the middle of it. Every student is going to get a username and password from their math teacher. Students' usernames are going to be their PUSD Gmail account, so their username at pleasantonusd.net, similar to mine. Then each student is going to get their own unique password, which usually consists of about 3 letters and 2 numbers. So when you log in, you're going to see the dashboard and it's going to say your name. Now, as a teacher, I have a lot more different logos right here because I also have all the teacher edition. When you go online, you're only going to be seeing these yellow different tabs right here. And that's the ones I really want to go over. Now, if you are in a class such as 6-7, 7-8, or 8 algebra, and you have access to more than one textbook, this little drag down button right here will help you select what grade level textbook you need to be in. Now, all of my Math 6 classes are always going to see grade 6. Anybody in Math 7 would only see 7, 8, and so on. Math 7 students see both 6 and 7, so be very careful which book you pick. I'm going to start with 6th grade. Now, if I look at these 3 different options of my yellow logos, when I click on these, I want to go through each of these different features. First is the Student Edition and Resources. When you click on it, this is every single page of your math textbook in a PDF form. So, you will see right here, we are currently working on, let's say, Module 3. If I click on that, I see the whole entire book as a picture, just like you see it in your consumable textbook at home. If you click on anything, nothing's going to happen. You can't click and you can drag, you can click and copy, but it's not going to be really great. This is if you ever needed to reprint a page or if you wanted to do something a second time or just to have some extra parts in your notes. But overall, you have an access to a textbook, so you're not going to need to this as much. There are also here is a Spanish edition and a Spanish interactive student edition, which we are going to be talking about in a second, the student interactive edition. But if you speak in Espanol, this might be another way that you can be able to get that resource. There's also some different videos, and those you can click on any time to kind of see a real-world aspect to this. These are also the Are You Ready skills worksheets that are also located in your textbook as well. So everything on this tab you already have in your very thick textbook that you take home. The Student Online Edition is also a textbook, but this is different because it's a little bit more interactive, where you can see that each of these different pages happen to also have these new little things that if you pull over, you can click. If you click on it, you have the ability to type in your answer. That's kind of a cool thing. However, when you save it, and you could save it to your notebook even, when you exit out, nothing shows up here. So the only problem is, as a teacher, I can't see anything that you type into these different boxes. If you go back, it's still going to have your answers saved, but I need to be able to see as your math teacher all of your work. So even though you're using the online textbook, and even if you want to put the answers in, your teacher might also require you to put your answers in your math notebook as well, because we want to see the different work. Any of these things right here are called Personal Math Trainer, and we're going to get to those in a second, but these are all clickable links to practice of different problems. So you can practice other questions like this Your Turn. You can practice other questions like this guided practice. And we also get to the independent practice. So this is where people usually ask, where can I get more homework problems? This would be one place that you can go, the Personal Math Trainer. Now before we get to this, I do want to just show you some other resources that you have. There's other little like fraction bars that you could be able to use if you ever need to be helping explain. There's just a bunch of different cool things that you can use in these different resources. Bar models, algebra tiles, graphing calculator. So these are all kind of helpful in the different resource section. You can also bookmark a page so that you can make sure that you come back for another time. And what's really handy is right here, if you need to go to a certain page, let's say page 100, once I press enter, it takes me right to that page. And if I want to bookmark it, I just click the bookmark up top. So let's go back to this personal math trainer. If you click on it, this is when you get a step-by-step different questions that are regarding that same type of homework practice. If you get stuck, you can see it step by step, where it actually has 1 out of 7 steps. You follow each and every step, you check your work, you go on to the next. Then you can go down here and try another one on your own. This way you have the ability to keep checking to see if your answer is correct, but you don't have to keep asking for more and more problems. Now let's say you're still stuck, there is a video tutor that you can click, and it's a video and you can be able to see a teacher explain how to do this problem step by step. So there are many different questions that you can have. When you submit, that's great. I'm not going to see it as your math teacher unless it's assigned, but if you submit, that is for you to be able to see how many questions you got right. So in a way, you have a little mini teacher at home. Last is the student interactive edition, which is different from the online because these are actually interactive lessons that actually speak to you. So let's say we're in rational numbers right now. Let's say we're comparing and ordering. This is going to soon start to talk to me because it's going to be all the questions in my math notebook. Ooh, it just talked to me. So I can play the video about the essential question, and then I can go on to the next.
Fractions and decimals that represent the same value are equivalent.
Now, this can keep going. I'm pausing it right now to make it not talk so it's not going to talk over me. But the teacher will actually teach you the lesson, and then partway through it's going to ask you some questions. These are the same examples as in your math textbook. Next, we get another second example, which is the other example in your math textbook, and these are all during the lessons. Then we have the personal math trainer that is the your turn questions. So very similar to what we saw before in the textbook that had your turn and the guided practice. So these are all small questions. So you only get 2 here. But you're only going to be talking about 1 or 2, but you still get the step-by-step, you still get the textbook, view example, and all that. If you go one more, this now is the homework math trainer that we looked at before, where we see we have multiple different questions, we see the step-by-step, we can check our answers, and we can even submit it. The last thing about the interactive edition is a few other cool things, like the A to Z right here is a glossary. So you can try to see, well, what is absolute value? You can find absolute value by looking at it here, or you can even type it in to see absolute value. And you can see right here, it even talks to you.
Valor absoluto.
How cool is that? There's a lot of other different resources. You can be able to caption it, not caption it. There's other things here, like I said before, the calculator, the different fraction bars, negative and positive numbers, being able to see single counters and 0 pairs. All these are really cool resources that you have. And when you're done, you can always click the menu to go back home. Now, in a nutshell, which just means a quick little information session, that is how to log on to the student edition of the textbook for Go Math. Now, there are some other things, the Smart Planner, assignments, and reports, and that's going to depend on your teacher. I know in 6th grade we're not going to use these just yet, but if you ever have any questions or if your teacher wants to talk to you about it, they'll talk to you about it in class. Thanks so much for stopping by, you guys. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you around the corner.